Yogi Amandeep, I have a question. I was really intrigued by your story of the tongue touching the dome of your mouth when you do zikr. And I'd like your perspective, because when we do bandagi, we don't use the tongue. We just say our word in our mind. But I really like your story, if you will, or actually a scientific explanation of how the movement of the tongue actually impacts your pituitary gland and your hypothalamus and pineal gland. So can you provide a perspective on when we're using the word, whatever that is, the ratio of not using the tongue really to get into your whole being and using the tongue to do whatever it is that you talked about?
Yeah, so there are three levels of meditation, or three levels of chanting. Okay, in the realm of the Sufis or Islam, we call it Zikar. In the Sikh tradition, Hindu tradition, this is called Simran. Simran also means, Simran means to contemplate. Zikar is the same meaning, remembrance. That's what it was translated as. So in the beginning, when a person starts the spiritual path, when the mind is wild, okay, it is helpful to start with the physical body, okay, with the physical organs. So tongue is used in the beginning. So the tongue is constantly used with the mantra, with the kalma, with the chanting. But as you evolve, you don't need to move your tongue.
Okay.
So not moving the tongue is the next stage.
Okay. That really helps.
So the first stage is to move the tongue.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is with Jaban, your Jabani. Okay.
Yes.
Only your tongue moves, because the mind is wild. If we ask you to chant, you just use your mind. Your mind is going to lead you wherever, you know. So to anchor yourself. So using the tongue opens the door only. It just opens the door. Then when you do it with the mind, it helps you to step into the door. Okay, let's put it this way. When you use your tongue, the tongue, because it gives an anchoring, it creates a sound, it creates a sensation, so it's easy for the mind to anchor. When a child learns to walk, we give him a walker. It holds on to something which is tangible, and then it walks. So this is the first step, to chant with the tongue. And when you chant with the tongue, of course, it stimulates, and all this is research done on that. But then the next level, this is one, opens the door. The next level, when you don't move the tongue is touching the palate, just close mouth. Your mind starts to chant. Now the door is open with the tongue. Now with the mind, you are walking into paradise.
Got it. And so, okay. Sorry.
And then the third level is, even your mind don't chant anymore. Because in the realm, in the presence of the divine, okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay? In the presence of the divine, there's no movement. There's no movement. In the third realm, in the third level of Zikr, mind don't move, tongue also don't move. And that is the who, beingness. Because in the presence of that which is not moving, which is called the divine, in its presence, there is no movement. Even the mind stops. The tongue stops, the mind stops. The beingness. Now there are three realms. The realm of thinking, the realm of feeling, and the realm of being. Presence. Just presence. There is no sound. There is no word. It is experiencing the presence of Allah. To experience the presence of Allah, your mind also cannot be there. Because your mind is collective information. Your mind is concepts. Your mind is ideas.
Yes.
Even the mind is not there. So that ultimate zikr is without the tongue, without the mind also. So first level is tongue, second level is mind, third level is Zikre Siri, which is known as the hidden Zikr, which no effort is needed on your side. Everything is happening by itself. It's called the presence of the divine within your own self. So these are the 3 levels of Zikr.
Thank you. I love the way you explain. I have one more question regarding the same subject. So I have heard in the past that if you stick your tongue to the upper dome of your mouth, somehow it allows your mind to go still faster. Do you have any perspective on that?
Thank you for that. So when I just talked with you, and I think I mentioned that after you have stopped chanting with the tongue, you chant with the mind. The tongue touches the upper palate. The tongue touches the upper palate. So this is your tongue, this is your palate. It stops there. Now, when your mind is moving, eyes are moving. They are connected. When the mind is moving, the tongue is also moving. This is one example. Now I'm talking because my mind is moving. When I'm thinking, my eyes moves also in the dream. When you're dreaming, eyes moves. Now, when you're thinking, even the tongue is moving, vibrations are there. Okay? Very important this to understand. Yeah? Okay? So when your mind is thinking, even when your tongue is not moving, there are subtle vibrations in the tongue. So the tongue is connected with the mind as long as sensations, vibrations also. Now there is the concept in the realm of the mystics. It doesn't matter which mystics, those who want to go in whatever path. The tongue has to touch the upper palate.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't allow the tongue to move. When you don't allow the tongue to move, the mind stops. Mind stops.
Okay.
Because the mind initiates the tongue movement, and when you stop your tongue from moving, the mind stops moving. When a child is born, now listen to this. When the child is born in the mother's womb, from the esoteric perspective, from the yogic perspective, when in the mother's womb, the tongue is touching the palate. When the child takes birth, the tongue drops. Because the tongue drops, the mind starts to think and develop. The first breath that a child takes after birth, and the tongue drops. Because the tongue drops, your consciousness, which was one in the mother's womb, drops. You get caught in the realm of jismani. When the mother's womb, you are one with the divine. There's no time, there's no space. You don't have any concept of time, and you are just in your beingness. That is called who. Just your beingness, without your story. The moment the tongue drops, you come into the realm of time and space. So because your tongue dropped from the palate, you came into the world. Now when you die, you cannot die until your tongue doesn't touch the palate.
Wow.
Your tongue must touch the palate for the death to be complete. I don't know if you have ever seen or experienced anybody, or you've done research or whatever. Your tongue must not touch the palate. As long as the tongue is not touching the palate, you cannot die. That's why, I don't know in the Islamic tradition, but in India, when a person is dying, we put water into the mouth so that there's saliva and the tongue doesn't touch the palate. The moment the tongue touches the palate, death can happen. If the tongue doesn't touch, you cannot die. So during birth, tongue came down. During death, tongue will have to go back. Now, tasawwuf, meditation, awakening is also same as birth and death experienced together. That is called tasawwuf, where you experience the two extremes of life, meditation, awakening. Tasawwuf is when death and life seen together at one point. Nobody sees them together. Either you experience birth or either you experience death. And birth and death is there because of the tongue.
Wow.
This is what it means, falling from heaven. You know the story of falling from heaven? You fall from heaven, the tongue falls.
Yeah, yeah.
Adam, Adam, Adam. A means come, Dam means breath, Adam. Adam means coming of the breath. When the Adam comes, you fall from the heavens.
Wow.
This is what it means, falling from the heavens. This is what happens at the time of birth. You were in the heavens and your tongue dropped, you dropped. Adam and Hawa. You know Hawa? Adam and Hawa? That's what you call it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hawa means this is Hawa.
Right, right.
Adam and Hawa. Adam means Adam, coming of the breath, Hawa with the oxygen. So when the Hawa comes, oxygen, Hawa means air comes, and the Dam along with it, Adam and Hawa together falls from the paradise down. This is what it is.
Wow.
The fall from the paradise is falling down of the tongue. This is what
you're amazing. I love the way you explain things. This is just so incredibly amazing. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time.
Just let me complete this, okay?
Yes,
so,
yes.
Life and death both happen when the tongue is either up or down. Now, meditation, awakening, the presence of God is when you can experience both polarities together. Marana to paila marge bahu. Sultan Bahu, a great Sufi master. Marana to paila marge bahu. Those who have learned to die before death.
Yeah.
It's called tasawwuf. You experience life and death together. And that is why in the deep experience of bandagi, in the deep experience of tasawwuf, the tongue must go up, because then only life and death experience can be experienced while the death is not yet come. Naam fakir tinada bahu kabr jinadi jive hu. This is your qabr. This is your qabr. Your ruh is inside this qabr. And most of us, our ruh is not alive. When the ruh becomes alive, the qabr becomes alive. And Sultan Bahu says, Naam fakir. They are darwish. What is the definition of darwish? Darwish is Naam fakir. What is a fakir? Tinada bahu qabr. Jinadi jive hu. Those who have awakened in their qabr. Who have awakened themselves in their qabr. It's not the qabr outside. It's the
right.
This qabr, if you have awakened your ruh, and then you are a real darwish, you're a real Sufi, a real fakir. And for tasawwuf to happen, the tongue must come and touch the palate. So this is the third level I talked about. First you chant with the tongue, then you chant with the mind, and then the third level, the tongue touches the palate. Because the tongue touches the palate, there is no movement here. Mind stops when the tongue touches the palate. And the moment that happens, you come into adab, you come into presence. And when this stops, when you are present, God is always present. You know, God has not gone anywhere. There's Baba Bulle Shah says, you are lost and you're finding God. You are lost. You're finding God. You have to find yourself. So when you come into the moment, when you come into your presence, in the sacred Quran, it is mentioned, Hu wal Bagi. Ultimately, you have to go into the state of Hu, which is your beingness. The moment you come into the now, the moment your presence, the moment your wajud ends and your majud goes away and your majud, your beingness come, God was always here. You were not present. God was always present.
Yeah.
So these techniques, these tools, stops your vajood, okay, and gives you the presence which is majood. And Allah is a hazir all the time when you are hazir. It is majood when you don't have vajood. When your vajood goes away, majood comes. He was always majood. Hazir, hazur. He is always hazir and he is always hazur. But you are not there. So this gives you the anchoring, and that moment you and your divine is face to face, and ultimately you dissolve into it. The waves of the ocean becomes the ocean. And this is the experience of Wahadat al-Wajud. Your creator and you are one. You and the divine are one. That's what it is.
Wow. Okay. God bless you. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So
thank you.
Thank you. Blessings to you. I'll see you soon. May the divine bless all of you with health, wealth, and prosperity, and the highest gift, and that is to listen to your own heartbeat.
Amen.
Amen.